And welcome everybody to the Daily Space Weather. Congratulations on realizing the channel exists. We've got about 5 named sunspot groups. We've got an incoming coronal hole high-speed stream and lots more to cover here at the Smash News Network. Least busted name in news. Also, likelihood of additional coronal mass ejections kind of high. Whew. Let's do it. Here's your solar intensity gram from SDO. Again, we've got about 5 named sunspot groups. The most likely place to see major flares is from this sunspot down here. 3077 is the name of that group. Here's your colorized magnetogram from SDO using polarized light. Most of the activity in the southern hemisphere. And here's a composite view. 211, 304, and 171 angstroms. Coronal hole high-speed winds continue, and we expect them to continue. Now, we think we may be seeing things calming down here at Fagradalsfjall. There's been actually less underground activity, less likely motion of magma happening since July 31st. There was a 5.5 magnitude earthquake on July 31st. Since then, again, less movements and less ground deformation. We think it may be calming down at Fagradalsfjall, the Iceland volcano. Sakurajima exploding, flight level 100. It's a 10,000-foot ash plume from Sakurajima. That's an uptick there at Sakurajima, I believe. Subanose-jima exploding as well, 8,000-foot ash plume from Subanose-jima. Mount Ibu, flight level 070 over Halmahera, Indonesia, from Mount Ibu. Not sure in Colombia if Nevado del Ruiz is erupting or not. Don't pole vault the caldera. Sangay in Ecuador, not sure if that's erupting. Don't build a campsite around the base or square dance the caldera. That could be unhealthful. Revenador, though, is erupting in an explosive fashion. Flight level 140 over Ecuador from Revenador. Sabancaya were unable to detect. And again, don't pole vault that caldera either. We're going to get to earthquakes here in a moment. Here's the 90-day bar graph, and things have been mostly calm here over the past 24 hours. We'll get to that in a moment. Once again, thanks to everybody who views the videos on YouTube. Thanks. We're delighted that you haven't been mysteriously unsubscribed, and if your notification bell hasn't been mysteriously unpressed, please press the notification bell. As the Smash News Network, Least Busted Name in News, is the most comprehensive space weather and most detailed imagery that you'll find anywhere on the Internet of the Sun. Thanks to our YouTube subscribers. Make sure you follow us on Twitter as well. Interesting conversations going on over there, as well as shares of things like auroral imagery. Twitter.com/SmashoMash. I know the censorship is truly pathetic on the platform. Don't worry, folks, we won't get banned like certain charlatans do from the platform. Thanks to our Twitch followers. We've got some new followers on Twitch. Twitch.tv/SmashoMash. And if you'd like to support the channel via merch, check out the merch shop. We've set this up in order of best-selling. So the best-selling merch here at the top of the list, we don't decide what's the best-selling. We just put up things that we think people may purchase. So thanks to everybody who's picked up merch over the years. Again, links below the video as well as on our homepage. More on that in a moment. Today's featured product is our number 2 bestseller, which is Do Not Pole Vault the Caldera. If you're going through hell, keep going. Our finest days lie ahead, folks. I'm not just saying it because of unfounded optimism. There are reasons behind why I say such things. I'm not just making it up. I'm not an optimist. I'm a pragmatist. But these are just facts. I'm pretty good at forecasting things. I have the gift of what you'd call discernment. So don't pole vault the caldera. It could be a permanent solution to a temporary problem. Pick up some merch, support the channel that way if you like. If you'd like something tangible. It also features the YouTube channel and the homepage. If I could wave my magic wand, I'd set everybody free. But don't pole vault the caldera. If you want to support the channel via subscription services, we created our own. Patreon was not sufficient. So we created smashomash.com/SmashTeam. We put up stuff there for folks besides stuff about space weather. Become a gold or silver subscriber to support the channel via subscription services. Send us a couple bucks per month that way, as we're paid just this side of nothing to put the videos on YouTube. Smashomash.com/SmashTeam is our own subscription services site. You can find links to our social media and so on. And if you want to improve your health, become a member of the American Better Health Organization, otherwise known as SureMed. The base membership, just the doctors by phone service, is worth $20 per month. So improve your health by signing up for a SureMed membership. It'll help to cover any gaps left, as well as provide all kinds of discounts, health advocate solutions, counselors by phone. If you're losing your you-know-what, contact counselors by phone, perhaps. Become a member of SureMed. Links on the homepage to that as well, and welcome to the Neo-Renaissance. Smashomash.com is the homepage. There's a link to SureMed right in the upper right corner. It's a splentacularly fantabulous service. So read all about it via links below the video and links on our homepage. Welcome to the Neo-Renaissance. Once again, congratulations on realizing the channel exists. So the largest quake of the past 24 hours, getting back to seismicity here, is this 5.7 off the coast of Chile. Second largest quake was this 5.6 in the Banda Sea, north of Australia. So we're going to scroll up the list here. If we miss anything, let us know in the comments what we've missed. Thanks to everybody who's been leaving so many comments over the past few weeks. We appreciate that. We read all your comments, even if we're not able to respond to them all. There was also a 5.1 in the West Chile Rise and a 5.0 in the South Sandwich Islands. Those are the largest quakes of the past 24 hours. And try to have an earthquake plan if you're in an earthquake-prone zone. And keep in mind that any earthquake can be a foreshock, even this 5.2 at Vanuatu, which indeed happened at 157 kilometers below sea level. Getting back to space here, here is our ionized helium imagery from SDO. That's the last 24 hours. And once again, our channel features the most detailed imagery you'll find anywhere of the sun, as well as the most comprehensive space weather content anywhere on the internet. And we've got lots more data to blast through, so let's blast through it. Radio flux down to 109 solar flux units. So a dip in the radio flux here. We can expect to see this come up today. And you can see how proportional that black line, that's a 10.7 centimeter radio flux. You can see how proportional that is to the sunspot number, the red line below it. Again, we're expecting to see those both rise today as new sunspots have formed. So we're flirting with 600 kilometers per second for the solar wind speed. NOAA not forecasting any geomagnetic unrest or geomagnetic storms for the next 3 days. I would tend to disagree with that. I think we are going to see some geomagnetic unrest, maybe even a KP5 G1 level geomagnetic storm in the coming days, as we're expecting additional coronal hole high-speed streams. So here's the magnetohydrodynamic pressure surrounding planet Earth, Earth's magnetic moment from space for the past 4 hours. And if you want to know where the data comes from, head to the Geospace Magnetosphere Movies page on the Space Weather Prediction Center, click on Details, and you'll find a link to the Space Weather Modeling Framework. So things pretty steady here over the past 4 hours. No major changes in the solar wind speed, magnetic field, etc. And since we showed you Earth's magnetic moment from space, here's Earth's magnetic moment from the ground. We show it daily on the channel. This is magnetic flux density, or nanotesla. So geomagnetically calm at the moment. Keep in mind, folks, September is the most geomagnetically active month of the entire year. And, yeah, September, it's coming. The solstices are actually the least geomagnetically active time of the year. So it's coming. A lot more exciting activity. So KP2 is the current situation. The planetary K index is a measurement of global geomagnetism. And let's move to the real-time solar wind. Again, we're flirting with a 600 kilometer per second solar wind speed at the moment, about 580 kilometers per second, make it 592. Solar wind density just under 12 protons per cubic centimeter. And if we just simply see this top pane here, the red line, switch to negative territory and see a strong signal there, that'll put us right into geomagnetic unrest conditions. If you want to see a lot of imagery of aurorae, once again, follow us on Twitter. The GOES magnetometer here in a tight range, as we've got high-speed plasma showing up. We're seeing fairly high lows and fairly low highs at the moment. If you're wondering what these arc-jet moments are, those are the geosynchronous near equatorial satellites turning on their thrusters to maintain those orbits. Those thrusters create plasma, which can affect the readings. And no, NASA's not hiding data. Next, looking at our top view ecliptic plane field plot. Earth is in a North Pole current sheet. And I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of delay for the South Pole current sheet here. So don't be surprised to see it take another day or two for this red South Pole current sheet to show up at Earth. North Pole current sheet shown here in green. I would sort of expect Earth to remain there because of activity in the southern hemisphere. So here is our line of sight plot. And we are watching the migration of the north solar polar field there shown in green. There's plenty of solar cycle to go, folks. If you think we're at solar maximum, you are incorrect. You can see the north solar polar field here, largely oriented here on the north heliographic polar region. This is our line of sight coronal hole plot, and we're going to show coronal holes in 193 angstroms. So we've got some south pole oriented coronal holes rotating in over here, as you can see on the Gong 2 magnetogram imagery. Lots and lots of filaments on the sun right now facing Earth, especially in the southern hemisphere. You can see some prominences up here as well. Let's move to sunspots. So again, we've got about 5 named sunspot groups at the moment. Make it 6. There's 4 in the southern hemisphere and 2 in the north. Most interesting sunspot is sunspot 3077. It's rather spontaneously grown, and it is very magnetically complex. Here's some additional imagery of that. The solar intensitygram. The SDO continuum. Visible light there from SDO. Here is the magnetogram. Again, sunspot 3077 is my choice for solar flares. This sunspot up here promising as well. There are quite a few different umbrae there of different polarities. That's something else to keep an eye on. So here's our continuum imagery showing all the sunspots. And moving to X-rays here. The X-ray profile here kind of low, underperforming here. So we saw this creep up. Now we're down to about a B2.7 sort of background X-ray flux. Flaring has been minimal over the past week or so. No major intensifications. If we do see any major flares, a good wavelength to use is 94 angstroms. It takes 10 images per minute instead of only 2. Lots more information to blast through, so let's do it. No spikes in the proton flux. If we see a flare, we may see a spike in the proton flux at the moment, flatlined. And here's our star chart. If you're up before dawn, you may see the planetary pileup consisting of Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, and Venus. If you're wondering where this is from, it's from in-the-sky.org. And this chart is the all-sky chart. Put in your zip code to see what's going on above your head. Here's your solar system forecast. Here's where things are now as Mercury swings around to the more populated side of the solar system. Here's where they'll be in a week. We will have a gibbous waning moon by the 17th of August. And let's look at some coronagraphs. So here's yesterday's coronagraph imagery from the Soho-Lasco C2. No Earth-directed coronal mass ejections showing up there on the imagery. Here's today's imagery. And we'll also show the view from Stereo A at Lagrange 5 and the Soho-Lasco C3 at Lagrange 1. Again, no earthly directed coronal mass ejections, but we are sort of expecting some, as we've got quite a lot of filaments in the southern hemisphere. At the moment, the coast is clear except for some high-speed coronal hole wind and we can expect to see that continue for another couple of days. Here's the hydrogen alpha imagery, and you can see all these filaments in the southern hemisphere, all those dark regions. Those are similar to these prominences, but they're pointed kind of directly at you. So lots of filaments in the southern hemisphere, likelihood of coronal mass ejections quite high. And this sunspot down here increases the likelihood of solar flares as well. Here's the ionized helium imagery from the NASA GOES 16 SUVI. And before we get to our bonus features segment, we'll also show the last 24 hours in ionized iron 171 angstroms, the house favorite. Shout out to Smash staff. So here comes the bonus feature segment, and we've got some satellite charging hazards. Some significant satellite charging hazards caused by high energy electrons getting into the internal circuitry of satellites. So quite a bit of charging hazards here over the Central Pacific, the Western Pacific, and the Southern Indian Ocean here. Again, internal charging hazards caused by electrons making it inside of those spacecraft. Electron flux at very high levels, and they're expecting even higher levels over at NOAA. That's the 3-day chart from the GOES 16. Where's the GOES 17? There we go. The GOES 16 and GOES 17 both in warning territory. If you look at the NOAA forecast, expecting very, very high levels. Some of the highest levels we've covered in a couple of years on the channel. I think since maybe 2019, we haven't seen levels quite that high. There's the 1-year chart, and again, NOAA expecting to see electron flux all the way up to here. That's the 1-year chart from Solon.info of the relativistic electrons. We'll also show the F ionosphere layer. So here's the vibrational frequency of the bridge between Earth and space. Here's the anomalygram. That was megahertz. This is anomaly in megahertz from the 30-day median. And let's pause the videos on the latest image. There's 10:15 universal time ionogram. There's 10:15 universal time anomalygram. We'll also show the total electron content forecast, which shows you the free electrons between your GPS satellite and your handset. It's the electrons in the plasmasphere, the other plasmasphere, the Van Allen belt, and the ionosphere, known as the coupled thermosphere, ionosphere, plasmasphere electrodynamics model. And while that loads, let's pause once again for station identification. Welcome to the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. We keep citing facts, no matter how controversial they may be, in the realm of pathetic censorship on the internet. In the realm of pathetic censorship on the internet, we keep citing facts. I know, facts, they're controversial. Facts, they're so 2019. So here's your total electron content forecast. And, well, electrons are fairly organized here into where you'd expect them to be around the equator at noon. And we typically see more organized electron contents when we see high levels of electron flux. So that's what's going on. Those are the most likely places to see GPS errors caused by signal refraction. Next, the latest intensitygram and latest colorized magnetogram. Most exciting sunspot, in my opinion, is indeed Sunspot 3077. There it is. There's the magnetogram of it. It's rather spontaneously grown. Could be a new group rising in the northeast as well. At the moment, it does not appear to be a sunspot. And let's show some more composite imagery here. We're going to show the 171 angstroms plus colorized magnetogram from SDO. That is yesterday and today. August 9th and August 10th so far. Now it's time to move to our meteorology segment, and we're showing the largest waves in the world, which are around Antarctica and the Southern Ocean. Some 29-footers down there. Maybe not the best surf, because of course, well, the ice wall. The ice wall, folks. The ice wall is proof that the Earth is flat. Just kidding, folks. Everybody knows that the Earth is croissant-shaped. Let's move on to show our standard issue weather phenomenon. So very windy here in the Southern Ocean. Those are the surface winds of the eastern side of the planet. Here are the jet streams. And some cold weather hitting southwestern Australia. Backward jet stream here over the Indian Ocean as well, and over the northern part of Oceania. Here are the jet streams of the Americas. Jet stream largely staying north of the U.S. and creating no respite for places like Kentucky. We'll get to it. Here are the surface winds of the Americas, surface winds of the central world, and the jet streams of Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. Strong jet stream convergence happening in the southern Indian Ocean, chaotic jet streams in the polar regions of the central world. So here's your weather.gov map. If your county's lit, click your county on weather.gov. Some windy conditions around Hawaii and some watery conditions around West Virginia and eastern Kentucky continue. We'd like to report a respite in all of that flooding. Also some flooding happening in Nevada, Utah, Arizona, New Mexico, even eastern California. So here's your total accumulated precipitation forecast based on the GFS model. Precipitation shown here in inches. And bad stuff happening in eastern Kentucky. No respite. It continues to rain and rain and rain. Here's your GFS pressure and precipitation forecast. Both of those forecasts are for 72 hours. We show 72-hour forecasts because those are accurate. We prefer accuracy instead of alarmism on the channel. So here is your pressure map situation. Decent low pressure here off of Newfoundland. Anticyclone here in the northern Pacific. Some low pressure here over the Aleutians and the western Rockies. Continuing on to our NASA GOES lightning mapper, that's about the last 10 hours. Decent amount of lightning here at the beginning of August. Here's our real-time lightning map, and I think we have some terrestrial strikes in the U.S. Maybe not. Maybe so. Anyway, there are some active cells around the U.S. And let's continue on. That's from lightningmaps.org, by the way. Next time you hear thunder, perhaps check it out. We'll close out with Doppler radar, shortwave radiation showing clouds and fog, and water vapor. There's a U.S. Doppler radar, some precipitation in southern Alaska. Here's your shortwave radiation map showing clouds and fog. 3.9 nanometer infrared radiation satellite. Here's your water vapor satellite. And convective forces at play in the southern U.S. here as a result of the jet stream staying north of the country. Weather patterns are not being swept from west to east. They're just chaotically all over the place. They're a slave to convection. So here's your recap. U.S. Doppler radar map. Shortwave radiation showing clouds and fog. And last but not least, water vapor. And once again, thanks for tuning into the Smash News Network. Least busted name in news. May that solar wind be at your back.